Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Good afternoon, good evening. PT Pop here, with all four lobes of my brain tied behind my back. Well, a couple of my wonderful fans here on YouTube asked me to do a video on the strange people you'll work with in a call center. And I thought about it, and I can't do it. I just can't, because I was one of those strange people in the call center, and some of the people I worked alongside were definitely hurting. These were not people that were having a good time in life. I have a hard time with making fun of them, because a lot of them are really physically in bad shape, mentally in bad shape, health-wise, things were bad, and I just find it difficult to make fun of them. But I'll tell you what you will see. All I can do is warn you. You're going to walk into an asylum environment. It's an absolute asylum. And a lot of the people that you will find working in a call center, sitting alongside you on the phones. I found that at any given time in any call center, the people working alongside you will be morbidly obese. I'm not saying this to be mean, but a lot of the people that come into the call centers are extremely overweight. A lot of them are on walkers with the little wheels on them. I met a couple guys that were in the war. One guy that was in Afghanistan, and he had shrapnel that ripped his face apart. He was hurting. He was in bad shape. This was a guy I worked with out in Arizona. I didn't speak with him directly, but some shrapnel had from a bomb had tore through his face, pretty much cut it in half. It was awful. This is a guy that, was in bad shape, and I'm not making fun of him. What you'll meet in a call center, a lot of people who are down on their luck. You'll meet people that couldn't get hired in other places. You meet a lot of young people, a lot of kids out of high school and college. But you meet a lot of broken people. You meet a lot of people who have really been through hard times. You'll work alongside a lot of people that are struggling with addictions, struggling with a lot of things. So it's nothing to make fun of. I can't make fun of it, because the call center is the perfect place to go if you can't find work anyplace else. And literally you can get hired. It doesn't matter what your background is, as long as you don't have a felony on your record, or you haven't been indicted for embezzlement or stuff like that. I mean, you pretty much can get hired. I've seen a lot of good people. I've seen some decent people, but I'd say three-quarters of the people you run into in a call center have they've just lost their way. They've had abusive spouses. Some have been homeless. Some have been addicted to drugs and alcohol. Some have just been down a rotten path. Unfortunately, as I said, it's a modern-day sweatshop. It's the modern-day factory. Honestly, I worked in a factory. I worked in a factory for 2 years after college, and it was a great place. It was clean. It was noisy. And I worked alongside of guys that were former or current Hells Angels guys. I worked with women, men. I worked with men with physical and mental disabilities, all sorts of people. And the factory actually was a better place to work. It didn't pay as well, but it was a better place to work than the call center. And when I worked in the factory, I stood at a machine all day, and I pasted covers on books. I grabbed the book from the line, I had to put it on this blade, and I'd hit a pedal, and it would go down into this paste, and then I put a cover on top of it, and it'd come back up, and I'd put it on the line. And I did it all day long. I did it for 8 hours a day. And actually, it was a pretty good job. I didn't think it was at the time. I thought, well, I've got a degree. I'm better than working in a factory. I'm better than this. So I ran off and I got a job in the corporate world. Boy, that was just a kick in the balls. The corporate world is an awful place. I actually still have one friend from that factory. I don't hear from him a whole lot because he's retired now and he's traveling a whole lot with his family. But I met some good people there. I can't say the same about a call center. I've got maybe a couple friends from a call center. One guy was one of the trainers I had out in Arizona. He was a cool guy. You're going to meet a lot of odd people, and you're going to want to really watch your back. And you're going to want to probably, if you think you have a fairly stable mind, you're going to want to kind of steer clear of most people you'll run into in a call center. In a way, that's kind of putting those people down, but there's some people that are just really off the wall. Like there was this guy in Phoenix at Verizon Wireless, and he looked kind of like James Taylor, the musician, but maybe how James Taylor would have looked when he was in the psych ward, when he admitted himself into a psych ward for drug addiction stuff back in the late 60s, early 70s. I don't know what he looked like back then, but this guy was kind of like, he didn't speak, he didn't talk at all. He just kind of sat there. And he was probably in his late 30s. And I remember one time I talked to him about the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm in Phoenix, but I'm from Cleveland, and I was talking to him about one of the quarterbacks. And I go, hey, do you like football? He went, yeah, I love football. Oh, no, okay. How do you think the Browns are going to do with, I can't remember the name of the quarterback from like 10 years ago. Oh, he's terrible. He's awful. No, he won't make it. He's awful. That's all he would take. He would just say these horrible things about the Browns. And it turns out this guy was like a sports savant. Another guy I worked with for a short while at a telecommunications call center. He didn't speak to anybody. You try to talk to him and he wouldn't speak. He wouldn't talk back. There was one guy that I think he was a meth addict. I can't really say for sure, but he was really cool guy. He was a Navajo Indian. He was really funny, and this is right before Seymour Hoffman died. And there was this guy in our call center that looked just like Seymour Hoffman. It could have been him because I think the guy had fallen upon hard times. Maybe he was broke and he was working at this call center, but he was a spitting image for Seymour Hoffman. And this guy, my friend and I, this Navajo friend of mine, I say he was Navajo because I thought it was so cool to have a Navajo, meet a Navajo Indian. I mean, you don't meet Navajo people in Ohio. And we talked all the time. And then one day he came into work and he's just like sitting in the break room. He's like, oh, no, like this, he's like rocking back and forth. He's like, oh man. Oh, he's like, hey Pete, how's it going today, man? I'm like, hey Jake, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. The people from work, damn, they're following me home. They're following me home, and they're standing outside my bedroom window, man. And they're trying to get me. And I went, what? What are you talking about, Jake? And he's like, oh. And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can take it, man. They're watch out. They're coming to get you, man. And I'm like, whoa. This is, he was really paranoid. He was really flipping out. There was a Mexican lady I had as a supervisor. And she talked like this. I can't do the Mexican accent. I don't hate Mexican people or anything, but she was really weird. She'd walk around the call center, and her husband worked there with her, having an affair with another person on the floor. And this call center was freaking massive. It was 1 million square feet. It was in Chandler, Arizona. Oh, and I think her husband worked like 100 yards away, and this guy that she was having a fling with was like 20 yards from her desk. So she'd always get up and go talk to this guy, and they'd always disappear. They'd put their phones on make busy, and they'd go off and do something. God only knows what they were doing. But she'd walk around and go, oh, he's so chismosa. He's so chismosa. and she just walked around with this crazy grin on her face all the time. Oh, chismosa. I don't know what chismosa means. I think it's gibberish. But there's a lot of odd people you'll meet. You'll meet mostly strange people. You're not going to be able to sit down in the break room. I'd say with 80% of the people you meet, have a normal discussion. You're not going to be able to sit down and talk with them. For instance, I was sitting next to this one guy, and I was interviewing, and they let me listen to the calls, and I sat down with the guy, and he had a picture of Bob Dylan in his cubicle. And he seemed pretty cool. He was young. He was a lot younger than me, maybe 25, about half my age. And I say, so you like Bob Dylan? He's like, yeah, man, I love Bob Dylan. I just love Bob Dylan. I'm really into Bob Dylan. And he just started going off. He went off on Bob Dylan, like he was a savant on Bob Dylan. And then he started talking about socialism, and fuck socialism, and fuck all these socialist people in the world, man. And Bob Dylan, and he just went ricocheting around. And I just, I was looking at him, and I thought, I can't work here. I'm not going to work here with this dude. I mean, if this is one person there were like 50 people in this call center. It was a smaller call center. This is a bad sign. So you're going to meet a lot of very psychologically deranged people. You're going to meet a lot of people who are broken. You meet a lot of people who don't fit in anywhere else. It's kind of like that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie. It's going to be kind of like the land of misfits. I want to be a dentist, and that's kind of how I am. I just don't fit in anywhere else. I'm really an artist at heart. But I'm kind of an artist with the structure of an engineering personality. I'm not very flamboyant, but I can be weird and eccentric, but it's all kind of controlled weird and eccentric. I'm not naturally walking around talking to the walls. I've tried it, but I don't have the best conversations unless it's been freshly painted. Don't you love eating hangnails? I learned this from LeBron James. Yeah, man, we had a good game. I know what Kyrie's doing. Anyway, you're going to walk into people that are one step away from either being committed or being jailed. Or watch out for the people you work with. Keep to yourself. Just take your calls. Don't think you're going to make friends there unless you already have friends there. And have a good day. Subscribe if you like my videos. If you have any other suggestions, what you'd like to see, let me know. And I'll be glad to come up with something close to what you asked for. Thanks a lot. Bye.